Welcome back. You're listening to Get Real with Bob and Stacy here on the Money Matters Radio Network. You're joining us for our Leaders and Legends segment. Joined by special guest today by phone, Richard Shapiro, founder and president of the Center for Client Retention and best-selling author of 2 books, the first of which was The Welcomer Edge, Unlocking Secrets to Repeat Business, and his new book set to be released on Monday, The Endangered Customer, 8 Steps to Guaranteeing Repeat Business. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Thank you very much, Bob. Thank you very much, Stacy.
So, Richard is an influential force in customer relationship management and is a top-ranking customer experience blogger who's been interviewed by the New York Times, the Associated Press, Wall Street Journal, Boston Globe, Newsdays, the Today Show, and on and on. Tell us, Richard, how did you first learn about customer service and repeat business?
Thank you, Stacy, for introducing me and also asking that question. My father, I was very lucky to learn about customer experience and how to generate repeat business at a very young age. In my early teens, my father owned a small men's retail clothing store, and during the busiest holidays of the year, which were Christmas and Father's Day, I worked at my dad's store behind the cash register. And it was a really fun job, but more than a fun job, it really was education, because I could see my dad interacting with people as they entered the store. And the key word is people. My father saw all customers as people first, customers second. And that's how I really learned about repeat business, because my father taught me that it's all about relationships, and it's not just a customer, it's actually a person.
That's awesome. So many of the people that listen to our show are in the real estate or the mortgage industry, or they're just in sales and entrepreneurship. In general, how can someone in our industry do an even better job of generating repeat customers and getting more referrals?
Sure, that's another great question, Stacey. It's funny because when I give a talk to an audience that's not really in financial services or in the real estate market, I'll say that in real estate, the most important thing is location. Mm-hmm. And actually, to generate repeat business, it's all about relationship. So people really get confused between having a good customer experience and generating repeat business. So in any business, someone could have a good customer experience but not repurchase or not come back or not use the same agent in a real estate, environment. So the way you do that is to build a relationship, which takes time, but it isn't that difficult. And you really have to build relationships in the environments of face-to-face, phone, and email communication.
Okay. And I know that your first book was The Welcomer Edge, Unlocking the Secrets to Repeat Customers. And now you have the new book coming out in February, actually just in a few more days, The Endangered Customer, 8 Steps to Guarantee Repeat Business. Why is the new book called The Endangered Customer?
The new book is called The Endangered Customer because there's more competition today than there ever was in the history of mankind. Certainly the real estate industry or financial services experienced this, probably way before other industries. But in any business, there's competition. There's competition from third-party sellers like, Amazon and eBay and Wayfair and Google. And there's competition from everybody being connected now, where literally someone could be walking into a department store, picking out toothpaste A, and all of a sudden they get a text from their competitor saying, we can give you a discount for toothpaste, B. You also have startups like Uber that didn't even exist, prior to 2009 that are now worth, $60 billion. So every day there's another competitor out there. So therefore, it's really critical that if you don't want to lose your customers, that you actually, generate or have a proactive strategy to generate repeat business and not just have it done by accident.
Proactive strategy. I'm taking a page full of notes here. So your new book is called The Endangered Customer, 8 Steps to Guarantee Repeat Business. Can you share some of the 8 steps?
No, absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity to do that. So I'm just going to list the steps first, and then I'll go over them. The beauty of the steps are that, number one, they're steps and not just ingredients. So I'm not a very good cook, but I'd have a much better chance of being a cook if I actually had the steps as well as the ingredients. Additionally, each step is also tied into a human emotion or a psychological feeling, which makes it more impactful. So the steps are, and they're very simple. Sometimes people will say, oh, it costs me too much money to do this. Well, these steps really don't cost any money, but it's make me feel welcome, give me your full attention, answer more than my question, know your stuff, don't tell me no, invite me to return, show me I matter, and surprise me in good ways. So they're very simple, and they're very basic, and actually they're good for business, or they're really good for how you would deal with your kids or your spouses or your neighbors or your friends. So that's what also makes them so wonderful and so applicable to almost any situation.
Okay, that's great. Can you go through those 8 one more time?
Sure. Well, let me give you some examples.
Yes.
The first one is make me feel welcome. And actually, the human emotion for that is hope. Nobody walks into a store or clicks on a website or calls, a business unless they're hoping that something can happen. And the best way to fulfill that hope is really to make the person feel welcome. So one of the things that I really recommend that almost anybody does who either answers the phone or meets someone for the first time, whenever the person says, well, this is what I want to find out or this is what I want to do, say to them, I can help you with that. By saying, I can help you with that, that fulfills that hope. Now, the help might actually be that you have to refer them to someone else in your office, or you might have to get back to them with an answer, or you might have to speak to your manager. But by saying, I can help you with that, that fulfills that hope. And actually, I is one of the shortest words in the English language that has the most impact.
Wow, that's powerful. Okay.
Thank you. So that's the first one. And, in any business, especially in financial services, you really have to ask the question. You have to ask the customer a lot of questions. So rather than just asking the questions by saying, I can help you with that, but do you mind if I ask you a few questions? 99.9% of the people are going to say yes. So that actually puts the control in the customer's hand, and they'll really know that you're really listening to them. And that you respect, their opinion and not just bombard them with a bunch of questions.
Right.
Which leads us to the second item or step, which is give me your full attention. And most people try to listen to what the customer is saying or the person is saying, but they really don't listen to what the customer is feeling. So the purpose of really giving your full attention is not only to listen to what they're saying, but everybody has a human emotion. When they call, when they come into any kind of business, they're either frustrated, they're concerned, they're delighted, they're excited. So, if someone walks into an office and you hear that they're excited, possibly about, this is their first home or something, just as an example in real estate, and you say, oh, I hear you're really excited, I'm so happy for you. Or I hear you're frustrated, you've been looking for 6 months and you haven't found anything. If you really zero in on that human emotion, it automatically establishes a connection and shows the customer that you are listening.
All right. I'm already loving all of it, taking a bunch of notes. So,
should I continue going over some of the other items? Or
yeah, let's go over answer more than just the question they have.
Yes. Well, that's really how you build a connection. You can't really build a connection by just answering with one word questions. But one of the key things that I like to tell audiences or listeners is at the end, when you're finished explaining everything, instead of saying, do you have any other questions, say, what other questions do you have? Because people really always do have other questions, but sometimes they think that, your time is busy or something or valuable, and you don't want to answer those questions. Additionally, we have found, coincidentally, that 95% of all customers are delighted when the person they're talking to gives them additional useful information. So not only answers their questions, but provides them information that they really hadn't thought about asking. So when somebody does that, 95% of them are delighted automatically. And the next one is know your stuff. And, most people in any industry know their stuff, but there's another great book beside mine, which is called Hug Your Customers by Jack Mitchell, who's in Connecticut. He has a couple of stores. And he wrote a book, Hug Your Customers. And in the book, he really stresses that it's more important to know your customers than your merchandise. And I think that no matter what industry or what company, people really need to log in information about the customer, as a private thing. Like if you know they have a pet, what's the name of the pet, or they have children, or where they used to live or where they grew up. If you can put all those things in some kind of database, even if it's your own file system, and the next time you see them, say, well, how was your dog Spike or something?
Yes.
I mean, people just love that, and that really helps build a connection and build a relationship.
Bob and I were just talking about this because sometimes your employees are your customers too. So doing
all the time.
Yeah, so it seems like you can do these simple steps for your employees as well as your customers to build a great business. All right, what was number 5?
Don't say no. And don't say no actually is very frustrating. And don't say no also is when you don't get back to somebody. So the longer you don't get back to somebody, if you leave a voicemail or if somebody emails you, really a voicemail, during business hours should really be answered, within 4 hours, and certainly an email by the next day. The longer it takes for you to get back to somebody, you're really telling the customer they're not very important. And that's also saying no. It's not just no. Always say what you can do. I know there's certain stores that will never, if somebody asks, what time does the store close? They'll never give that answer. They'll tell them when the store is open. So there are ways that you can reposition something.
That's great. All right.
The next one is invite me to return, and that also uses the I. It's really important not to say please come back, but to say I want to see you again. It's like the first time you went on a date or when you were dating, if you really liked the person, you were really hoping at the end of that date, before the end of the date, that person said, I want to see you again. If they don't say that, you feel like maybe you did something wrong. So if you have a really good experience with a sales associate, it's natural for that person to say, oh, you know what? I really enjoyed speaking with you today, or going out on the road with you today, or seeing you today. Let's do this again. You're going to do this. I would like to see you in a week or 2 weeks. Saying that I want to see you again, or let's do this again, it can be very impactful.
Okay.
Actually, the last 3 steps, which were invite me to return that I just mentioned, and the other 2, which I'm going to go over, very few people really do well. So showing I matter is really, after the transaction is over, showing the customer that they matter. And that could be when you speak to them the first time on a phone, really sending them like a nice email that's personalized, saying I really enjoyed speaking with you, or after a closing or after any business is concluded, sending a really nice personal email saying, your business is important, and continue to keep in touch with them. Sending, daily emails of promotions or things that just don't make sense. That shows the customer that you don't care about them.
Right.
But
Gotcha.
But it's important to actually send these personalized.
Okay. And number 6?
Actually, it's number 8.
Okay,
That's right.
Sorry.
All right. The last one is surprise me in good ways. And everybody likes a surprise. So in any business, usually there could be like the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers. Or maybe if it was in real estate, someone just bought 3 houses from you over in a period of 10 years. After the closing, and I'm sure a lot of people do this in any industry, but send somebody flowers or send them candy, something that makes them feel special, or invite them out to dinner, or invite them out to lunch. Matter of fact, in those industries where there's not a sale like every day or every week or every year, I think periodically taking your customers out to lunch or breakfast or coffee really shows them that they matter and continues the relationship. So you're top of mind for referrals and repeat business.
Gotcha. All right. So we only have a couple minutes left. Can you quickly tell us what does the Center for Client Retention do, the company you founded, and where people can find more information and follow all these ideas that you have to help a business grow?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Stacey. Well, our company, which has been around 27 years, does help any company, any business generate a higher percentage of repeat customers through our research, training, and consulting. We do boot camps, keynotes, things like that. The book, which is really great because it's a handbook, it's a hard copy handbook that's 148 pages that's broken up into these 8 sections, and it's great for any sales associate, any customer service rep, any person really almost, in business or not in business, because it is applicable. And on February 1st, Monday, it will be available for sale on Amazon and in either e-print or, hard copy. And in addition, I do have a weekly blog, and I'm very proud of it. It's all about, different subjects related to the customer experience and repeat business. And it's under our letters of our company, TCFCR. So if you go to TCFCR, which is the Center for Client Retention, and you'll see a link for the blog, and then you can see it, and you can also subscribe to the blog where every week you'll get, an email listing the blog. So I think it's very beneficial, or would be very beneficial to your listeners.
Yes. I feel like we just got a master's degree in repeat customers, so that was unbelievable. So this is Richard Shapiro, author of The Welcomer Edge, Unlocking the Secrets to Repeat Business, and his new book coming out this week, The Endangered Customer, 8 Steps to Guarantee Repeat Business. Thank you for joining us today, Richard.
Yes, thanks, Richard. And Stacey and I will both be reading both your books.
Yes.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. So that'll do it for this edition of Get Real with Bob and Stacey. Tune in again next weekend for more.